Hello and welcome back to my face and another video. Today we're going to be doing the CS-63. A tank I thought I'm going to do because we've got the upcoming 7 vs 7 campaign, and for those, clans which are going for tanks, the CS is going to be used a lot, so I thought I'd, pass on kind of my experiences with the tank and how I feel like it should be played. I'm going to use this replay as kind of like a base level to be able to show you what this tank can do if played properly. So yeah, let's get right into it. So, the CS-63, right? Polish tier 10 medium. It's very unique in this game, right? In World of Tanks, the CS-63 is kind of a one-trick pony. Its speed makes it very, very powerful at taking early game positions and being able to get early game damage, early game punish, take really advantageous positions to spot opponents as they push in, etc., etc. As you can see here, Robert, who is playing this replay, he's on Paris, he's taken a really aggressive position, he's come to the heavy flank, he's taken the bridge, and he's putting some really nice punish to the crossing heavies. That is what this tank is brilliant at doing. Take an early game position, pick up 1, 2, 3k early game damage, drop back, play the mid-range kind of game. This tank has armor, right? Don't get me wrong. It has armor, but it's not reliable armor. We're not talking 430U medium kind of armor. We're talking more 140 kind of medium armor. You know, it, in its thickest place, its turret cheeks are 130 mil. The mantler, so directly around the gun, is pushing 260. So you're gonna ricochet some tier 10 medium AP shells, standard shells, but you're not going to be ricocheting gold. This tank, yeah, its armor is there, but it's not reliable. Its upper plate is very well angled and acts as a bit of a shot catch and a bit of a trap. Don't shoot its upper plate if you're fighting it, just shoot its lower plate. It's giant. So, Robert here has kind of already highlighted the kind of real strength of this tank is its speed. Take that position early, punish tanks as they cross to a position, punish tanks as they arrive to a position. That is exactly what this does really well. So if you're playing in randoms, play it like that. Take aggressive positions, but bear in mind, it doesn't have the armor, it doesn't have the ability to fight its way out of difficult situations if you've been too aggressive. So it's that kind of knowing where the line is between aggressive and too aggressive, and risk for reward. It's kind of, you have to weigh up both of those when you're playing this tank. So be aware, and it takes a lot of awareness to play this tank, and it is an incredibly difficult tank to play in randoms. But if you're playing it in competitive, you're going to be using this on a lot of maps. Himmelsdorf, Mines, Malinovka to push CSs, Fisherman's Bay, to take an aggressive position. That's in 15 versus 15. But in 7 versus 7, we're looking at, using 1 CS and 6 Chiefs. So, this tank gets a lot of use just because of its speed. You can use it to push other heavies. You can use it to take those aggressive positions. It can do the job of an EBR with more HP, more DPM, more armor, more flexibility. So yeah, less about what this tank can do and how it can be played. Let's talk about some of its stats. So as you can see here, Robert's already managed to pick himself up 5.5k damage, and that's testament to this tank's pretty okay DPM actually. For a medium, it has 3.5k. That's fully tricked out using hardening, rammer, and turbo, which is the recommended competitive setup. So if you're using it in 7 vs 7 campaigns, all that kind of stuff. But the random setup that I would recommend you to use is hardening, V-stabs, and rammer. You just get a little bit more gun control and a little bit more gun handling, just because this tank's weakness is its gun handling. As you can see, it has pretty bad bloom. So you want to do all that you can to mitigate it. I wouldn't recommend taking an aiming unit. I just don't feel like it's needed. But V-stabs is, I feel a definite plus on this tank. So yeah, we've got good alpha. We've got 390 alpha. That's that kind of nice middle ground nowadays. 320 used to be the dream, and then it's kind of gone up and up and up. 390 is kind of now a pretty comfy position to be at tier 10. You punish, it's pretty good. It has decent pen, actually. Its standard is low, 258, but its gold pen is 315. So it's not SDB levels with 330, but it's that kind of nice middle ground between being too low and too high. It works, right? It's APCR, so you have decent shell velocity, which is obviously better than like SDB with heat, 430 with heat. It's got decent HE. It's HE punishes. It's not, it's just typical medium, tier 10 medium HE, really. Non-British, obviously, which gets hash. But yeah, as I was saying, this tank's strengths are its speed. In its turbo mode, it can go up to 76 forwards, and out of the turbo mode, it goes 61 forwards. And out of its turbo mode, it goes 17 in reverse, and in its turbo mode, it goes 22 in reverse. So you want to use the turbo mode to get around. Come out of it as soon as you're going to enter into a situation where you need to have the gun handling back. Because when you're in that turbo mode, you have really bad dispersion, you have really bad aim time. So you only use the speed mode to get into an initial position and then to potentially run away from that initial position. In the meantime, you stay out of the turbo mode because you get that gun handling, and you're still not slow, right? 61 forwards is still a quick medium tank. But obviously that 76 forwards is the fastest medium tank in the game with its turbo mode. So that's its strength. Its aim time when you're using when you're using a turbo is good. You've got 2.21 seconds. That's not far off kind of SDB kind of levels. And if imagine SDB gun handling, it's not incredible. It's a bit trolley, but it's okay. This is just a little bit worse than that. It has 0.34 dispersion, and it has 8 degrees of gun depression, which does allow you to kind of work a ridgeline. You don't really want to be working a ridgeline because of its weak turret armor. 130 cheeks. Its mantler is going to get penned by gold. So you can use it to peek over positions. You can use it to take chances shots over rubble piles, but don't rely on its turret armor, as I was saying. You just kind of want to play this tank as like a mid-range kind of opportunistic assassin, really. So Robert has kind of showed you how you can play this tank aggressively in a good matchup, because it has the DPM, it has some armor, it has the alpha, it has the pen to be able to punish. And as he just picks up 10k, which is an achievement in itself, but he's going to go on and pick up even more in this game, as you're going to see. You can just see how it punishes, right? So if you're considering picking this tank up, do. Especially if you're going to be looking to get into competitive, it down the line. For example, you're looking at winter campaign and you're looking to, maybe go for a tank, because it's likely that the Chief will be back in that campaign. So I would definitely consider picking up the CS. It's a staple of competitive gameplay. And it's a decent random tank. Don't get me wrong, it's hard to play and not everyone will be able to make it work. But if you have good map awareness, if you know map positions, if you know when it's time to push and when it's time to actually be a bit more passive, you really can make this tank work. And, if you're a top-end player, you can probably push towards, 4.5k, 5k potentially DPG on this tank, because it does have that potential. But if you're a mid kind of level player, aim high and aim for about just less than 4k, and I reckon you can all do that. It is strong in the right positions. It's very, very strong on some maps. In other maps, it struggles. So Ensk, for example, where you can take an aggressive position, but you have to rely often on quite a lot of armor, which this tank doesn't have. It has that upper plate, but that's it. It works especially on open maps or very small maps where it can take a very aggressive position and really be able to punish. For example, Mines being able to take the hill. For example, taking the bridge there on Paris, or taking an aggressive position on Malinovka to punish the hill push, or Moravanka to punish a cross. That's what this tank does very well. It can act as a hybrid light, hybrid medium with its speed, but you do have to be aware it is not a light tank. Its view range is not that of a light tank. So, and as you can see, its armor does work, but you do have to angle it, you do have to wiggle, and if you do in this tank, you will ricochet random shots, just because its armor is a little bit thereabouts. It's good, not incredible. Anyway, I've rambled on about the armor a lot, but I feel like it's important, especially if you're going to be playing this in competitive. You don't want to just be expecting it to bounce, because it just isn't. So yeah, the overall conclusion and opinion I hold of this tank is very strong in some situations, mediocre in others. If played by a very good player, all situations it's a very good tank. Its speed can get you into trouble, but also get you out of trouble. Its speed can get you into very advantageous positions and also out of very tricky situations. It's very, it's very hybrid, so you have to play it as so. So yeah, I feel it's a very good tank, but that's down to each and everyone's opinions. If you want to, look at playing something similar, or if you how do you want to compare it to something similar, like I said, you want to compare it to the SDB1. I feel like that's its closest comparison. With similar good handling, relatively similar speeds out of turbo mode, obviously for the CS, similar kind of aim time, similar alpha, similar reload, similar DPM. So that's how I'd compare. But the CS is just better just because of that raw speed at getting into a position and punishing. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the CS. Robert here has played an absolute incredible game, managing to pick himself up 12.2k damage. A 15k combined game basically here. So congrats to Robert here. This is one of the highest games in the CS ever recorded, and this was recorded last month. So yeah, thank you for letting me use your replay as well, for uploading to what replays, so I can kind of show what I think about the CS and show people how I think it should be played and how they should play it. I'm going to show you the equipment and the field mods now. I'm going to give you two setups. The field mods is the same for competitive and for randoms, I feel. But I'm going to show you two equipment setups, one for randoms, one for competitives that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm pushing for 500 subs towards the end of this year, so if you'd like to sub, that'd be much appreciated. And yeah, I will see you all soon.